John, it's all about the pitching, pitching, pitching. What was your what impressions did you have once the GM meetings commenced, or not commenced, after they everybody said go home? Did you gather that there's anything different about what you already knew about their plans, or at least their intentions? Anything catch your ear?
Well, I think the Cardinals are well aware that this is going to be a frenzy, Bernie. Like, there are 7 teams that need 2 pitchers. The 29 teams there all need pitching. Maybe 28. Maybe the Marlins and the Mariners are the only 2 teams that are not looking for pitching. But everybody else is looking for pitching. Multiple pitchers, relief pitchers, starting pitchers. Everybody needs pitching. The position player field is not very good this year, but the pitching is there. There are a lot of real difference making arms there, and I think John Mozeliak understands that this is an off season that's going to define maybe the next 7, 8, 10 years going forward. If you miss on guys, if you can't, just because they have money doesn't mean guys are coming to St. Louis. Like, they've really got to go out and sell themselves. They're going to have to overpay in some situations. It's really pushing them out of their comfort zone. The Cardinals have always shied away from the open bidding market, and they've always shied away from giving long-term deals to pitchers. They've shied away from paying pitchers on the wrong side of 30. They're going to have to do some of that this year, and I think John Mozeliak realizes that this organization kind of has to reevaluate its plan and be willing to make some of those uncomfortable decisions.
John, one of the things I've done, and it's not because of any frustration that I may feel about the Cardinals. It's just me being pragmatic, and I have a pragmatic side. When John Mozeliak talked about 3 starting pitchers, first of all, I at the time I said, well, I don't know if it'll end up being 3. It could be 2, and it could be a really good reliever, which they need 2, but it could be a hybrid in there. But I think a lot of the fans were when they heard that, it's like, they're going to go get 3 top guys. And I never for 1 minute thought that it meant 3 upper-tier starting pitchers. I thought it would be one guy like that. They would trade for another, and then maybe on the lower end of free agency, they would sign a guy that could be a 4th or 5th starter, maybe a really promising reclamation project. I mean, I just tried to be a grown-up about this, and I adjusted my expectations to be realistic. So what about you? Does that sound about right, or do you see it in a different way, like the kind of pitchers that they'll end up with?
Yeah, Bertie, I was kind of that worry wart guy. I mean, you probably could go back and listen to the transcripts or the audio of the interviews we did with John Mozeliak, because I was like, 3? Really? You're going to try to sign 3? I was the guy calling, asking him about that, because, I mean, 1 is a big ask. 2 is almost, extraordinary the ask. So, and like you said, you never thought they were going to go sign 3 top-tier guys. Maybe you sign 2 or trade for 1, sign for 1, go get like a Seth Lugo guy who could be, a swing man, that sort of thing. But you have to be realistic. Like, it's almost impossible to go get 2 guys who are going to be in the top of your rotation in one off season. And I think the Cardinals realize they have their work cut out for them, and there is everything on the line. Like, they cannot afford to miss this off season. They have to go get difference making arms. Now, whether that's going and trading for Logan Gilbert or Tyler Glasnow or Shane Bieber or Dylan Cease, they've got to come out of this with at least 2 difference making arms.
Yep.
And John Mozeliak stressed that one of the big factors this offseason is they're not going into this needing just 1 guy, but they need 2 starters and probably 2 bullpen guys and maybe 3 starters, so that this has got to be a volume offseason for them.
And if they're sharp, if they're on their toes and they've already scoped out maybe signing someone that would actually be a terrific candidate for a turnaround, based on some of the things that that have happened or things that can be explained away, like Luis Severino or Lucas Giolito. Like some of the they both loom as pretty good turnaround candidates. So maybe they could pluck one of those guys if they're interested. I want to ask you this, and John, these things are hard to speculate on, so the question's not really fair, but. do you see a way that it's a two-part question? Sorry. Do you see a way that they could reel in both Aaron Nola and Sonny Gray, or more likely they have to choose one or the other? And based on that, I guess it's a three-part question. Based on that, who do you think they would prefer? Who do you think's a better fit? Is it Nola or Gray?
Well, Nola fits their mold more. When you think about a 6'6" right-hander, the big, tall right-hander, that's the guys that they preferred, through the years, the Adam Wainwrights, the Michael Wakas, the Miles Michalas, the big, strong right-hander. Mo even said something the other day about, kind of their rule in free agency is if you're going to miss big. A lot of times the Cardinals don't have that 5'10", 5'9" starter. They prefer with the 6'6" guy, the 6'7" guy like Drew Verhagen. That's he found fits their mold, and I think Nola's 31, Gray is 34. Gray has missed in a lot of spots. He was really good last year, but he's missed in a lot of spots, and he wasn't that good with the Reds. Had ups and downs with the Yankees. I think they would definitely prefer Nola. Nola's going to cost more money. And how do you get Nola out of Philadelphia? Just because the Cardinals want him, just because they have money to spend, he's on a team that's already in the championship hunt. The Cardinals are out of the playoffs. So, one of my questions to Mo the other day were, when you're in the spot you're in, how much do you have to overspend? And, I think the Cardinals kind of have to get comfortable with the fact that they're going to have to blow some of these guys out of the water. They're going to have to spend more than they want to. They're going to have to change their model that, just because their metrics say a guy's worth this, you may have to pay another $10 million to get him away from Philadelphia. So there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations this offseason for the Cardinals if they're going to get the guys they need.
Yeah, and I think they realize that, but I have a hard time predicting or being confident about predicting if they're going to do that. They're going to stretch their payroll maybe more than they thought, or more than they hoped for, but they're going to have to do it to come up with that combination of pitchers. Yeah, and John, and I remember the other day, you tweeted the thing about Mo talking about the payroll, and you, of course, you wrote about it at MLB.com, and people can still find it. Mm-hmm. That was, I got to admit, my initial reaction was a lot like the fans, like, well, wait a minute, are they backtracking? And then when you kind of went down into what he actually said, and it's kind of a confusing thing. I don't know that he was backtracking, but how did you, after you gave it some thought as well, how did you understand it? What's the fair way to understand it?
Yeah, Bertie, when you go 71 and 91, nobody wants to hear the words very similar. Nobody wants to hear that you're going to do something very similar to a season that was disastrous. John Mozeliak said that he thinks the payroll can be very similar to where they were headed this past season. Now, they were headed for the highest payroll in franchise history. They were going to be at 190 to 200, close to that range. But because they traded 5 pitchers at the deadline, because they were sellers instead of buyers at the deadline, their payroll ended at 173 or something like that. But it's not going to be 173 this season. It's going to be closer to 200 because that's where they were headed this past season. So when fans see that the payroll is going to be very similar to where they were headed this past season, fans, I knew that was going to go over like a lead balloon, but you have to understand the context. They were headed for the highest payroll in franchise history, and I think it's going to push near 200 this year, which is a big improvement. That's where it's a big improvement over where it's been in past years. It's not going to be to the range where they can go out and get Yamamoto and Aaron Nola. They may not be able to land into the top tier guys. They can't spend all their money on one guy. When you need as many guys as they do, they can't. They may have to settle for that second tier. You may have to, Jordan Montgomery and Sonny Gray might have to be your options instead of landing one of those top 2 guys. One of those top 2 or 3 guys.
Sure. Hey, there's a way to make it work. You're right. You just can't have everything. And I frankly, I think anybody who actually believed that was possible are just kind of naive. And I know there's a huge demand that, and I've been, we've been feeling this just as media people for years. There's a percentage of fans, I don't know how many, but they're awfully loud. And listen, man, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying this is the way it is. They just want to see Bill DeWitt spend money. And it's like, he could spend money on stupid things, but they don't care. You got to spend money. Money, money,
Bernie,
money. You got to spend
It's
money.
easy to spend somebody else. It's always easy to spend somebody else's
Yeah.
money, isn't it?
And John, I've been saying for years, number one, I want to see him spend money aggressively, but wisely. I don't want him to be spending stupidly, throwing money away just because people in an online forum just want to see him burn money just because they want to see him burn money. You know the way you prove it to me? By making great baseball decisions and making the best of what you do have. And frankly, Mo's track record in recent years, a lot of the decisions that have required more money than they usually spent have not worked out well. So it's a complicated situation. People want to make it really simplistic, and it's not.
Yeah. Bernie, I got one note for you that I haven't even written yet that
Yes, sir.
Cardinal fans will find very interesting. Yoshi Yamamoto, his mother and Lars Nootbaar are best of friends and talk every single day. Lars Nootbaar was at one of his playoff games and hung out with him the night after the game. Lars was telling me that yesterday. I'm going to write that in a story coming up. Lars is in Japan for 2 weeks doing a promotional thing. He's in line to become the face of Japanese advertising for either Mizuno or Adidas. They're having like a bidding war over him right now. But he was telling me that Yoshi's mom and his mom talk every day. So, he said, point blank, I'm gonna help Yoshi any way I can. I'm gonna give him advice. I'm gonna tell him good cities, bad cities, good situations, bad situations. Now, whether that can help the Cardinals or not, who knows? But I thought that would be a neat little nugget that Cardinal fans might be interested in.
Oh, I think it's real interesting. You never know. I mean, here's what I think. You didn't ask me, but first of all, Cardinals are to get him. They're going to have to make an incredibly generous offer. It's going to have to be huge. They're going to have to be right there with the big spenders. But as you pointed out early in our conversation, it's not just about the money. The player is going to have to feel good about St. Louis. So if this can kind of soften him up and give him a more positive view of what it would be like to be here, that's a plus. Just to sort of get him comfortable just with the thought of maybe St. Louis will be on my list. So
exactly.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
More than happy to answer questions for those guys, help those guys out. He was on the WBC winning team with those guys, and he wants them to use him as a resource, and he wants to help the Cardinals any way he can.
Well, we'll see what kind of recruiter he is. He's a charming fellow, talking about Lars. So anyway, I don't know what else I got. There's nothing new on the Molina front, right?
No, they're still trying to decide what the role's going to be. They need to know, does Yachty want to be a 162 guy? Does he want to be just a spring training guy? Does he want to be every other homestand? Mo said that he is 100% confident that, after being out for a year, Yachty's mind is fresh. He's hungry to get back in the game. He really thinks that he's confident that Yachty or Molina will be a part of this organization in some way. It's just a matter of determining, does Yachty want to just help in spring training? Does he just want to come for home games? Does he want to be an assistant coach? Does he want to be an advisor? I think it will happen. It's not on the front burner in any aspect right now. It could be one of those things that doesn't happen until 2 weeks before spring training. But I think it will happen at some point this offseason.
One more for you, and we're going to get away from baseball. Tennessee at Mizzou. Mizzou's a 1.5-point underdog at Faurot Field. What do you think?
It bothers me that Tennessee's favored. When I saw that, I kind of gulped. I don't know how the heck we're favored, especially the way Tennessee's played on the road this year. I'm making the drive to Columbia tomorrow. Can't be more excited about it. Brady Cook is a heck of a football player. I'm scared to death of him running all over us tomorrow, and I don't get how Missouri's not favored in that game. If I was a gambling man, I would be, thinking that Missouri's probably going to win that game. But hey, Tennessee's played some really good football. They went to Kentucky a couple weeks ago and played their best game of the season, arguably. They died in the second half at Alabama. They played terrible at Florida, so they haven't been a good road team for the years. But I'm hoping that's a great football game tomorrow, and I'm going to be there to watch it.
Well, you have a great time, man, and I think a lot of that line is sort of even a response, a carryover from the last couple of years where Tennessee averaged 64 points a game and
Yeah.
beating them twice, and I think that has something to do with it.
Keep your eyes on number 6, Dylan Samson, tomorrow. That kid, we have 3 running backs that could play anywhere in the country. That kid is electrifying. He won the Kentucky game almost by himself. So if Tennessee can run the ball and keep Missouri's offense off the field, they have a chance of winning that game. But Brady Cook is the real deal.
That's John Denton, otherwise known as Good Old Rocky Top. John Denton, our guy. Thank you, John. Have a great weekend. Have fun tomorrow, man. Have a ball. I'm glad you're going. That's great.
Sounds great, Bernie. Thanks so much, and hey, congratulations on the Hall of Fame. Looking forward to seeing everything about it, man. You nobody deserves it more than you.
Well, I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you so much. That's our friend John Denton. Actually, Jim Hewer. Speaking of that, guess what I did at 10 o'clock this morning?
Oh, what did you do at 10 o'clock this morning?
With Ms. Bernie, went to the store, got myself a nice shirt, got myself some nice slacks, just to clean up a little bit. We've got a sports coat that's in the dry cleaners, just to clean up a little bit.
There you go. We were talking about that the other day, weren't we?
Yeah, clean up a little bit.
All right.
I thought about wearing sweatpants and like a golf shirt, but I thought I might probably need to raise my game just a little bit. So,
just for a couple hours. How's that?
Yeah, I don't go for them highfalutin things, but that's all right. No, I'm only kidding. It's a week from Sunday. It'll be an interesting day, a fun day. I'm happy you're coming. I think Jim Thomas is coming. I hope.
Yep, he's talked to me today, yes.
Yeah, we got a table. Mrs. Bernie and her family. My brother's flying in from Maryland. My long time friend, former producer, so proud of the person he is, the job he has. Ben Boyd is going to be coming. So, yeah, I mean, that's the part of it that makes it special, just people that I care about. Just being together on that day for a few hours, and I'm only going to talk 3 minutes. And they did warn us that once you hit the 3-minute mark, it's like they do it like these award shows. They start playing the music to get you off stage.
Now,
so
what I do, I could probably find a way to shut that music down if you wanted to.
You better. Nah, I don't want to.
All of a sudden, they start pressing the button. It's not working. I go, I don't know what happened to it.
I don't want to be up there that long. I'm gonna have pre-written remarks, and they will not be lengthy. So, but no, I'm just curious. I'll be curious to see everybody there, and just the fellow inductees who I met several of them for the first time during the announcement, and. A few of them I knew already. Like Kenny Wallace and just some others.
It's a good list.
And I don't know what professional athletes will be there, like Barrett Jackman, Todd Light, Adam Wainwright. So that's what I mean. You're never sure. Sometimes people have to sort of do a recorded message and they play it like a video or whatever. So we'll see. We'll see, but it'll be fun.